Hello YouTube. So today I just want to give you kind of a quick rundown if you ever have to go through getting a court order title. So um, I bought this motorcycle about 4 months ago, and the reason I ended up having to do a court order title was because the lady I bought it off of never had the title put into her name, and her BMV told her that there was some paperwork that I could take the old title along with this paperwork. Um, but that was wrong, and so I ended up meeting her halfway, giving her the title back. She promised to help make sure everything I'd done right, and then she eventually just stopped talking to me, so therefore I was left with a motorcycle. I did have a bill of sale, thankfully, um, but I no longer had the title. It wasn't reported stolen, but she just got tired of messing with us, so she no longer communicated with me. So here's kind of the steps if you get in the process, because through this process I found out that even a lot of the people at the BMV get confused. They tell you the wrong information. People at the courthouse tell you the wrong information. So it's been a big learning experience for me. So first of all, um, this is for Indiana. If you live in another state, it might vary, but hopefully this will kind of give you an idea of what you're going to be dealing with. It's not a hard process, but it's also not a very fast process. So thankfully, I had to deal with mine during the winter, so it's kind of just been sitting here. Missed a couple nice days of ride, but thankfully it's all over now. So here's kind of the steps. First of all, you need to go to your BMV, and you need to tell them that you're trying to get a court order title, and they're going to give you paperwork. Now you need to specify that it's for a motorcycle, boat, or whatever it is that you're trying to get, because thankfully a lot of the paperwork is the same. But when I got my paperwork and I went to fill it out, towards the end of the process, I realized that I had paperwork for a boat rather than a motorcycle. So once you get that paperwork from the BMV, what you're going to do is you're going to send off the very first part of it, and they should tell you. But there's basically one page that you're going to send off to what they consider the central office of your state, and you're gonna tell them all your contact information, and all throughout this, I made tons of copies. So I sent them copies of the titles that I had, because I had a picture of the old title, and you're gonna just send them all. Copies aren't that expensive to make, rather than them sending something back because they were unsure about what you were trying to accomplish. So you're gonna send that back, and basically what it's gonna ask for is it's gonna ask for the vehicle history. Now it's going to cost you somewhere between $5 and $11. I can't really remember, but you're basically paying for them to print off the history of the vehicle. Now, don't fear if you get yours back like how I got mine back, and there was a lot of information that was blacked out, and I thought that maybe I did something wrong. But the judge was able to actually see. He was able to get on his computer and see past those black marks to see kind of what was going on. So once you send that off, I got mine back in right around a week. So you can either wait for it, or you can go ahead and start with step number 3, which is the police inspection. So your police inspection is going to be either through, obviously, your city police or the sheriff's department, depending on where you live. I live in the city, so mine was through the police department. So I actually went there in person, got the phone number. I went ahead and paid for it. Mine here in Indiana was only $5, and I went ahead and paid for that cash there at the police department. And then they gave me a ticket for that. A cop came out. He checked the VIN numbers of the bike versus my bill of sale versus the paperwork that I had been given. And he filled that out. He signed everything. Once again, I made a copy of that. That way, whenever I sent everything off, if something were to happen in the mail and they would get lost, I would still have a copy and not have to go back through the process again. So once you get your paperwork back, and once you get your police inspection done, then you're going to take all the paperwork to your courthouse, and it's better to call ahead and ask, because the judge isn't always there, or you need to make sure that the office is open. But find out what office you need to take it to. You're going to give him all the paperwork, and if they're not busy, they can look at it the same day. I had to leave mine and come back a different day after they called me. But basically, once he looks at all the information and he deems it that you do in fact own the motorcycle, your boat, whatever it is you're trying to do this for, he will sign, give his approval, and then you have to go down to the clerk's office. Mine was located in the same in the same courthouse. Yours will obviously depend on wherever you live. But they looked over the paperwork and they put a seal on it. That cost $100, and I had to pay that there. I was able to use a card, so I didn't have to have cash for that. And then after I got that done, once again I made copies of everything, and I sent it off to once again the central office in Indiana. And there's a lot of other paperwork that you actually have to fill out. A lot of it doesn't make any sense because it's paperwork that looks like what the seller would fill out as far as mileage goes and all that fun jazz. Even though a lot of that stuff says for the seller to fill out, I filled in everything that I could other than writing the seller's signature, just so everything that was clear. I had copies of everything that I sent, copies of the title that I sent to them, and I sent that off to the central office, and with that, you're going to pay your sales tax there, as well as another fee just for them to do everything. So obviously that's going to depend on how much you paid for the vehicle or the motorcycle, boat, whatever it is you're trying to get. And then that's what's going to take 2 to 4 weeks. Mine took just over 2 weeks, but thankfully I just got the title in the mail. And so some people say that my courthouse tried to tell me that they would send me a paper that then I would take to the BMV to give me the title. That was wrong. They actually sent me the title, and then today I just went and took the title, and I got the bike plated and registered. So after 4 months of this baby sitting in here, I'm finally going to be able to ride it once it gets nice outside. So I'll try to put this picture specifically in the comments just so you can kind of see it. I think everything's there, but at least this will kind of give you an idea. It's a pain in the butt, but it's not an impossible process. It's very overwhelming because you don't know what the heck's going on. And like I said, not everyone knows what they're talking about. I had to go to the BMV multiple times to get the story straight. The courthouse told me the wrong thing. And a lot of times at the courthouse or at the BMV, people get upset just because they don't bring the right information. They don't look that up ahead. Okay, well, that's your own fault. But this was actually the case of literally I was getting different stories because people didn't know what the crap they were talking about. So thankfully this process is over for me. Hopefully if you're watching this video and you're in the same process, it will go smooth for you. But this is kind of just the way you have to go. There was another, when you look it up online, there's a lot of other types of titles that the internet makes it sound like you can get through different processes. But this was a way that I had to go as far as not having the original title with the current owner on it. So also, just as a forewarning, maybe if you can avoid the situation, if you're going to buy a motorcycle car, make sure that it has a clean title with the current owner's information on it. I might have been able to just take that original title that I had from 2 owners ago. I might have just been able to lie and say that I just had never registered it, but then I would have been paying late fees, and you just take a chance of other things happening. So this is what I had to do, and finally it's over.